which was the 12 tribes of Israel, the original, the fathers, right, had this evil thought in their mind. So they pulled him out. He went into Potiphar's. They sold him to this Egyptian Potiphar, right? Okay, verse 2.
Verse 2. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man.
Right there. So it said, and the Lord was with Joseph. The same way the Lord is going to be with the children of Israel. Okay. Same way. And he said he made us, and what? And he was prosperous.
And he was a prosperous man.
And he was a prosperous man. And if you look at it today, the Israelites really, we go through our things, but, once again, everybody's trying to get here in America. You go down on Skid Row, it's terrible to see our people in that fashion and in that way, but they ain't taken care of. If you take away the drugs, from them, I think they'll end up building the whole they'll take over the whole downtown area. But they always have to have some type of device that suppress them, to keep them in a low state. They already know that, but they kind of getting tired of them down there too, because downtown is a hot commodity. That land that but the area where they in right now, they want to develop and push those people out of there, but they don't know what to do with them. And not only that, but when they get rid of, let's say, a couple of them, more comes. So they got a big problem that they got to try to figure it out, and it don't look like it's coming no time soon, okay? Because the population here in California is dwindling, but the population of homelessness is increasing tremendously, okay? But Joseph was prosperous. The Most High has blessed him. Read on.
And he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian.
Mm-hmm.
And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hands.
See, made all that he did. Now, you don't think by us understanding and following these commandments, the Most High is not going to take care of us and have us prosperous, but everything else is falling apart? Something for us to think about, something to put that faith in. Go ahead.
And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him. And he made himself overseer over his house, and all that he had put into his hand.
Right, and all that he put into his hand. Now he made him overseer. I want y'all to keep that in mind, because Joseph, the way that the years that he spent in Egypt, is going to continue to prosper until he becomes the very top man. Okay, but go ahead.
Verse 5. And it came to pass from time that he had made him overseer in his house,
mm-hmm.
and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake.
Now check that out. He blessed the Egyptian's house. And the Egyptian, they knew it. He's sitting back and he's taking care of whatever business is, but he knew that his household and his finances was going to be taken care of because the blessings that was on Joseph. Go ahead.
And the blessings of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house,
mm-hmm.
and in the field. And he left that he had in Joseph's hand,
mm-hmm.
and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored.
So he didn't even know, like he was so prosperous and things was coming to him so fast that he didn't even really know how much he had, and he didn't really care. But Joseph, he knew that Joseph was in charge of it, and he knew that whatever things around him kept increasing and increasing. So I'm gonna jump down, I'm gonna jump from that. I just want 6. But what happened was his wife attacked Joseph and ended up trying to sleep with Joseph. Joseph was like, no, because Joseph knew the law. Not only that, but he didn't want to disrupt his master's house. Okay, he didn't want to disrupt the blessings that the Heavenly Father had blessed him with, and that was he actually got out of the hands of the Ishmaelites. Okay, we're gonna stay in 39. Let's go to 20.
The book of Genesis, chapter 39, and verse 20.
Mm-hmm.
And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison.
Right. So his wife tried to accuse him of rape. I just want to rush through it because I want to get down to the part where how Joseph, the Most High, was blessing him, throughout his life. So Potiphar's wife tried to seduce him and then accused him of rape. So with that being said, Potiphar was like, I can't have my name tarnished like that. I'm going to believe my wife. So they put him in jail. Started from the top.
Gotcha. Verse 20. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison,
Mm-hmm.
a place where the king's prisoners were bound.
Okay.
And he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison.
Now, check that out. So now, just think about modern day prison, okay? They take us Israelites, they say, y'all been a nuisance, y'all out there speaking about the white man, y'all speaking about this, y'all talking about y'all the only chosen people, and they lock us up, right? No problem. We go back to our history, right? And we're going to find out how he blessed Joseph in prison. So if we're doing right by the Most High, right, and we are feeding our people, and we're delivering the message that he wants our people to have, right, he will take care of us, no matter where we find ourselves at. I have to put that on my mind all the time, because either I'm going to, fall victim with the world, or I'm going to stay with the Most High. That's a decision that we have to make every day, because we never know. We never know, especially in times we live in that now, or times we're living in now, put it that way. So we never know. If we get put into prison, you know what? Our families, we know that, hey, you know what? Brought up some history about Joseph when he was in prison, how the Most High took care of him. What about Daniel, Meshach? I always get the name. Shadrach, Go ahead. Go ahead.
Shadrach.
Meshach and Abednego. There we go. I get tie-tongue. Y'all forget it. So, but the point I'm trying to make, and what I want to get to, is that as Joseph went through his trials and tribulations, as Israelites today, we may have to go through this. And we are going to go through this, because Christ told us in the book of Matthew, he said they will throw you in prison. Okay, read on.
Verse 22. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand.
Right. Now, the keeper of the prison. So we walk into our modern day prison, you see all the gangs in there, you see all the turmoil, and because I haven't never been in jail, which thank the good Lord, but there's rules and sets that you have to obey, period. And there's people that you have to answer to when you get into prison, right? You just can't go there and you just there. No. It don't work that way. You better hope that you see somebody that you know. Other than that, then you got to find out, okay, what is the rules on this block? Because they call them by blocks. Who's in charge? Okay, what I can do, what I can't do. You got to find out all of that. Right. But now Joseph went in, and now he's running the whole show in prison. Now I have to also think about that too, because a couple of brothers I know that went to jail, they said within a week's time, they start teaching the word. And when they start teaching the word, more and more people started to come and wanted to hear what thus said the Lord, according to their nationality. And they were saying that they was very surprised on how many brothers that didn't know, and how many brothers did know but wanted more and wanted to actually change their ways. So if you look at it, we're like viruses. And Esau knows that. Because the brother said once they start getting a group together, what they call Bible studies, they said immediately they transferred them out. They just took them and transferred them out, put them in another block, another cell. But he said I went there and did the same thing, And with that being said, he was like, man, it was like he had got that respect to a point when it was time to eat lunch. They would let him in line. Like, hey, let him in line. Let the brother in line, He's talking about the word of the Most High God. He's saying that we Israelites, It came to a point with the chappie, they call him the chappie in there, that he was giving services on Sundays. So the brothers didn't even want to hear him no more. They said, we don't want to hear that. We don't hear it. And then he had the white Jesus up there to this. Nah, we don't want to hear that. We want to hear that brother, what he has to say. And that brother literally got up and started teaching the word. They gave him this Bible and they teaching the word. And he was telling me, he said, Aladai, I went on what I knew, just the basics. He said, and the basics brought crowds. So same thing with Joseph. Joseph was in a predicament the way he was in prison, but the favor and the blessings is upon Joseph as well as Israel, that he had favor and he started running the prison. Go ahead.
Verse 22.
I find that amazing. I ain't gonna kid you. Because I know they coming for us, but when they do, like I said, if they just been plugged in a virus in their whole system, because we gonna go to work. We ain't gotta work. We worry about our family, but we ain't gotta go punch in. You know, we locked down. You know, and they probably gonna take the Bibles away from us. So now we gotta go off the head, like in the book of what's his name? Eli, the book of Eli. You know, we probably got to go off the top of our head, but we still gonna push this word. We still gonna get his word to our people. Okay, as messengers. You know, as messengers. Go ahead.
22. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison. And whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it.
He was the doer of it, running things. It's exactly what we gonna do. I get pumped when I hear that because we gonna handle it. The same way if we're in prison or out prison, we gonna handle it. We gonna handle our business, and they know it. Go ahead.
23. And the keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him. And that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper.
Made it to prosper. First he did it in Potiphar's house. Now he's doing it into the prison.
Right.
Okay. So where I'm going. Yeah, that's it. Now stay in Genesis. Let's go to 40.
Gotcha.
Yeah. 40. Yeah, let's read
Start
one.
one.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
one all the way down to 2.
Gotcha. Book of Genesis chapter 40 and verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against 2 of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them inward in the house of the captain of the guard into prison, the place where Joseph was bound.
Now, remember now, it ain't nothing moving, ain't nothing going on. Whoever come in, they got to check in with Joseph, period. So, Most High set this up as well. But, as he brought them in, these were top people that was already in Pharaoh's house, right? His baker, and who else was with him?
Chef.
Okay, the chef. The baker and the chefs. Okay. So, you know, they had to come through Joseph. They had to come through Joseph. And Joseph had some harsh words to tell them too, but read on.
Verse 4. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season inward.
Right. Now I just want to bring out the season inward because we don't even know how long Joseph was in jail. You know, the scriptures never tell us. But from my reading, he had to be in there a good little time though. You know, it said for a season, so we know a season is considered like 1 year. But I'm quite sure that it was, you know, more than, you know, I don't know, I can't say, but I know a season, if I'm looking at it, at least 1 year. But like I said before, you know, once this thing started to take form, right, and they start to say, well, we need to clamp down on these Israelites because Pharaoh said it back in Genesis chapter 1. He said, let us come together because the children of Israel have become mightier than we. Okay, I'm just proceeding, but Exodus. I'm sorry. Yes, Exodus chapter 1. So we know throughout our history that Esau know that once the children of Israel get on course and get their act straightened out, then the blessings start to come, and that kingdom is going to be overthrown. Period. You know, throughout history. Period. Was that all of that?
Yeah, let's keep going.
Let's stay in Genesis. Go to 41 real quick, because I say I'm gonna jump.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna jump. So anyway, so Joseph, they brought the butler and the chief baker to Joseph, you know, and Joseph put them in a spot, told them where they need to go, whatever the case may be, how he was running things, and then they start having dreams. So Joseph was the interpreter of dreams, you know, from day one. So as he, you know, I guess conversation went on, and they started to want to find out more about this dream. Okay, Genesis chapter 41, and let's start at 41. I know I'm jumping, but y'all can read that on your own. It's good. It's good information to read, you know, to keep in your memory banks. But I just want to kind of move a little forward a little bit. Go ahead.
The book of Genesis chapter 41 and verse 41. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt.
Right. So I know I missed a lot of history. Let's start at 38.
38.
Yeah.
Verse 38. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Spirit of God is?
Mm-hmm.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Forasmuch as God hath showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art.
Right. So now, Joseph, what happened? Like I said, I'm rushing forward. They had the dreams. So the butler and the chief baker got out of prison. He told that the I think it was the butler was gonna get put to death. From there, once he got put into that, then Joseph got put on a pedestal because he came and interpreted the dream. And then after he interpreted the dream, then the Pharaoh of Egypt, seeing the blessings upon Joseph, so he started to make Joseph, to start to have him the head of his kingdom. Okay, more blessings that the Most High, put upon the children of Israel as well. Because if you look at America, even though we went through some harsh times, some dark times, but we now here continue to bless America and prosper. And I'm talking about in sports, I'm talking about in education, you name it. We are dominating, or one of the dominating force to make things the way they are now. Put it that way. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 40. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in throne will I be greater than thou.
Only in throne would I be greater than thou. So how in the world he went from in a hole with the Ishmaelites, Potiphar's house, prison, now the king of Egypt saying that you will be, top man, only you will not sit on my throne. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 41. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck.
Jakes love gold chains, huh? Go ahead.
Verse 43. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried before him, bowed the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt.
Made him rule over all the land of Egypt. Okay. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh. I am without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zabnath Paneah, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, and Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt.
All the land of Egypt. So now Joseph is king. They even given their daughters, to wife with him. Okay. 346.
And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt.
So that sounds like what Moses did too. Moses coming later, but he went out and he just seen, the status of the people. So Joseph like I said, he was put into a position where the blessings kept pouring out on top of over him, just like his father, because that's what happened to Jacob, right? When he started dealing with Laban, he started making agreements with Laban. Laban kept breaking the treaties or the covenants, but the Most High study was blessing him with more land, more of his servants, and then started blessing him with his wife and his children, So he just the blessings kept coming, and that's what we have to always remember, that we will always have that blessing over our heads if we do right. That is the key point. Let's get down to 53.
Verse 53. And in the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land.
I'm sorry, we might as well just go ahead and finish it up. Yeah,
okay.
Finish it up. I'm jumping.
Verse 47. And in the 7 plenteous years, the earth brought forth by handfuls. And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt.
Now this is Joseph, right? And he had this dream that he interpreted for the king of Egypt. And he was talking about 7 lands of plenty and 7 years. 7 years of plentiness and 7 years of, let us say, a drought or a famine. Okay, so Joseph started to build on that, as a wise builder. He started to build on that, and he started to increase the substance that Egypt had and had access to. Go ahead.
And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities. The food of the field, which was round about every city, laid he up in the same.
And the same. So my thing is, I wish I can go back. Maybe I'll go back and just look and see what some writers have to say. What was Egypt doing before Joseph did this? You know, how was their economic system? How did they have it set up? Because once Joseph stepped on the scene, he brought his whole game plan, right? Because the Most High made it so that, as we can see and as we continue to read, that he prospered. And he prospered in so much that we're going to continue to read on. I don't want to give it away. Go ahead.
Verse 49. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much until he left numbering, for it was without number.
Wow. So he's stacking up all the way around you. Go ahead.
And unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of the famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God said, He hath made me forgot all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. Verse 53. And the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended.
So now we ending on it. So now the Heavenly Father said, okay, now the prophecy must be fulfilled. Now, if we look at today's quote-unquote famine, as they said, you know, they're predicting. So that means they are going to hold back. This has nothing to do with the Most High. He's got them on a puppet string. But still in all, they are the ones that's going to produce this famine that they're talking about today. Which meaning that, like I said before, they're going to hold back certain things, right? And I'm hoping, you know, and praying that the weather kind of like be better than it was the year before and the year before that, because there was tornadoes, there was a lot of floods. You remember the IQAhmath? When they had no floods everywhere? I mean, they had it in South Central America, they had it in France, they had it in England, they had all of these floods, right? And that affects the crops, huh? Yeah. And that affects the crops. So when that affects the crops, then guess what? Now you have to wait another whole season for that product to actually produce and grow up and for you to be able to use it. Meantime, that's when things are going to get slim. Okay? So he stacked up the corn. So now the 7 years of plenty was done. Go ahead.
And the 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in all lands. But in the land of Egypt there was bread.
There was bread.
And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried unto Pharaoh for bread.
Check this out.
And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph.
Go to Joseph. Well, y'all talking about me. He's in charge right now. He's going to handle that. Okay? Go to Joseph. Go ahead.
What he said to you, do. And the famine was all over the face of the earth.
Now, that's the Most High. Okay? That's the Most High. Now, he has brought a famine all over the earth, you know, so this prophecy can be fulfilled. But he had everything in place, you know, as well as his brothers coming down to meet him. You know, I'm not going to get to that, but I just want to kind of show you how prosperous Joseph was, you know, during this time of famine. Go ahead.
And the famine was all over the face of the earth. And Joseph opened up all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt.
Okay.
And all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that the famine was so sore in all lands.
In all lands. See, and that's the Most High here, how you bring certain things in. So I started looking up famines, right? I put in there like the worst famines in the world, right? And the one that came up, well, I'm just going to deal with the 3. The first 4 of the 10 that I read that's holding the wheat. Russia was the number 1. They said they had a famine in Russia in 1921, right? That was killing off, they said, approximately 5 million people. The second one was China. You know, China had they had a couple of famines, but the real bad ones was 1928, and then they had one in 1959. You know, they killed approximately 15 to, they say, 55 million people. All right. Then I went to India because India is number 2 of holding the world's grain. And India really haven't had a famine. Their famine took place in 1896. And from there, they had, spurts, but not as great as that, that happened in that time right there, India. Now, I said India, that's kind of strange because India has one of the largest populations in the world as well. So that kind of struck me a little different, in a way. And then I put in the U.S. because it's China, India, Russia, and then the U.S. is the ones that's holding the wheat, the majority of the wheat of the world. So I went to the U.S. and nothing really came up as far as like a famine. Now what they said was the Dust Bowl in 1930 came up, which I consider a famine, but not to the point where these other great famines hit the earth. So America really haven't had a famine, So with that being said, I'm always thinking about my people, And I said, boy, if my people, if they take their EBT card away from them, that's going to be a serious famine. Because why? Because now they have to go out and try to find means of work, or one is real, they're going to find means of stealing. One or the other, but it ain't going to be good. The outlook on a famine here in America for our people would not be good because our people are not prepared. To be honest with you, they are not prepared. They are so keen on depending upon the system that it would be mass chaos. And then, like I said, once they try to go out and steal other people's stuff, then that's when the killing starts. Because Esau definitely got his guns and got his little, warfare set up to protect, I guess, his family and his area and so on and so forth. But